be really consistent and make time for even a little bit of it every day, and don't have like training time and then things we do when it's not official training time. Just have everything be training time.
Recommended daily practice, 2 10-minute sessions. Once your dog understands the exercise, then practice whenever he wants to be petted and in all high excitement situations until the calm behavior becomes a habit that's under your control. If even after working on Say Please by sitting, your dog still loves to jump on people, or he's more motivated by attention and play with humans than by food, then the following variation of Say Please by sitting will give him the focus he needs. Because once your dog knows how to say please by sitting, you have an on-off switch. You should have already seen this switch during the earlier automatic sit exercises, but to up the ante, we'll add a game called Suddenly Settle.
Okay.
In the Say Please by sitting exercise, we performed sits in rapid succession, up to 10 sits in a minute. Now we'll up the excitement. Start by running a few steps so that your dog gets excited and then suddenly freeze and stand completely still like a tree. When your dog sits, immediately give him one or more treats while he's still sitting. Once you have this down, get your dog really excited so he's wagging his tail and jumping up and down, but preferably keeping his paws off you. Then randomly freeze by standing completely still and wait for him to sit. Again, once he sits, immediately give a treat and also reward him for remaining seated sometimes by giving treats at random intervals. Notice that I'm using a hands-free leash and that I only touch it when it gets wrapped around the dog. Now let's watch some dog owners in a beginning dog training class practice this same exercise. This owner's doing well with her dog Nala. You can see that Nala's attention is focused on her owner. Notice, though, how Nala clearly wants the food but doesn't care about the praise and petting. Praise and petting are not a good reward for Nala in this situation. Also notice that Nala looks away from her owner to get the treat. Nala's owner should deliver the treat up higher so that Nala can continue watching her while she's getting her treat. Notice here with Callie that I deliver the treats from up higher. By doing so, I'm training Callie to keep her eyes on me. Here's another dog, Pete. When Pete gets excited, he grabs his leash. His owners stand completely still when he does this, instead of rewarding his tugging by tugging back or yelling. The key to this exercise is to stand completely still and wait your dog out, even if it takes over a minute the first several times. Once the dog sits, reward immediately. Pete's owners are a little bit slow here, and they should provide treats in rapid succession, or hurry up and repeat the exercise before Pete gets bored just sitting. Here's another dog, Fergie. Fergie loves to jump. If your dog loves to jump, make a special effort to give many treats in a row once he's sitting, so sitting becomes a more rewarding position. Fergie's quickly learning to keep all 4 feet on the floor. At the beginning of the next session, I should expect him to jump again, but fewer times. If everyone's consistent, within days, Fergie should no longer jump even at the beginning of a session. This version of Say Please by Sitting will help you in all kinds of situations where your dog gets overly excited. For instance, here Pete and Nala get a few moments to play, but when their owners separate them, the dogs quickly focus back on their owners. These dogs will do even better as their owner's timing improves. Now on to step 2. Once your dog understands Suddenly Settle, and even before this, when your dog's really good at just saying please for treats, you can change the reward to petting. This works especially well for dogs that jump to greet family members and guests. Dogs jump in these situations because they want our attention. Now we'll make it clear that they don't get our attention in petting unless they sit and remain politely seated. I'll demonstrate with Hannah, a 1.5-year-old Australian Shepherd. Hannah's owners say she has no focus. Plus, she's not that motivated by food in distracting situations, and she even has a history of being picky about meals. Hannah loves attention from people and dogs, but when people try to keep her attention, she blows them off and does her own thing. Hannah already knows how to sit for treats, but this is her first time learning to earn attention. Notice that as soon as I start petting her, she gets excited and starts to wiggle or starts to get up. I immediately and quickly move my hands away and stand up straight so that I make it clear to her that I'm not paying attention. When Hannah realizes that nothing fun happens until she sits, she offers another sit, and then I immediately start petting her again. Also notice that when she sees she's not getting my attention for free, she sometimes suddenly attends to an itch or tries to walk off or look for something else interesting. Luckily, she's on a hands-free leash so that she doesn't get rewarded for these other behaviors. To take full advantage of the hands-free leash, avoid touching it except to untangle your dog or to prevent your dog from becoming tangled. Also, make sure that if your dog pulls, you stand stationary. If you let your dog pull, you'll reward him for pulling. You'll have to repeat this procedure with your dog many times during the early sessions before your dog realizes that yes, you are going to be consistent and you're not going to give in. But if your timing is good and you're consistent, your dog can learn this behavior very quickly, usually within 10 minutes. Once your dog knows this behavior, you should require he sit politely to be petted all the time until it becomes a habit. You should even increase the excitement level so that he learns that even when he's maximally excited, he has to calm himself down and sit because that's the only way he'll get the attention he wants. Be sure to remove your attention as soon as he starts to get up. Remember, it's okay to stand up even if he hasn't yet broken his sit, but it's bad to wait too long to remove your attention. Remember to only pet your dog when he's sitting. Notice that Maxine's now standing and BJ's still petting her. When first learning this exercise, most owners wait too long to remove their attention. In the Say Please by Sitting exercise, we performed sits in rapid succession, up to 10 sits in a minute. Now let's watch some dog owners in a beginning dog training class practice the same exercise. Here's the correct way again. Another common error is inconsistency. Remember that training occurs all the time, so even when you're not having a formal training session, you and everyone who interacts with your dog is training your dog. If you or others sometimes give your dog attention for jumping and other times expect him to remain seated, then your dog may never form a habit of being polite. If, on the other hand, you and everyone who interacts with your dog is consistent, your dog will quickly form a habit of remaining seated for attention. Also, once your dog consistently sits politely and has been doing so for about a week, you can allow privileges such as jumping up onto your lap, but only after you give a cue. In this program for teaching your dog to be polite at the door, your dog will be lying down on his rug in an extremely exciting situation. We can prepare him for this by now expecting him to lie down to earn the attention he wants. As with the sit for attention, you can just wait for your dog to lie down before petting him. If you give the down cue, just say it once in a soft voice. If he doesn't lie down, wait at least 5 seconds before you repeat the verbal cue. As usual, as soon as your dog starts to wiggle or play or give signs that he might get up, immediately remove your attention. Here I just withdraw my hand quickly without standing up, and then I pet Hannah as soon as she's calm again. The signs are black and white, so she quickly gets the idea. Here's Sequence practicing this exercise for the first time with Casey. At first, he's a little slow removing his attention. Casey responds quickly anyway because he's familiar with the exercise. Let's watch in slow motion. Here's where Sequence should stand up. Casey's starting to get up, but Sequence doesn't respond for a whole second. Remember to make your move as soon as you think your dog's about to get up. You don't have to wait for your dog to actually start getting up. Here's Sequence after a little more instruction. Now his timing with Casey's improving. Here's Callie learning this exercise for the first time. Like Hannah, she has a history of low food motivation in this type of setting and a lack of focus. She learns this exercise quickly though. Callie's owner hasn't learned this exercise yet, and this is how Callie behaves with her owner. When Callie wants attention, she just forces her owner to comply by pawing and nudging at her. In her mind, she can get attention whenever she wants it, just by pawing, jumping, or otherwise pushing herself onto people. As soon as Callie's entire family starts working on the rewarding calm behavior exercise with Callie, Callie will learn to be polite even when extremely excited. Now that your dog gets the idea, up the excitement as high as it'll go. Praise or pet him exuberantly when he's lying down, and suddenly stand up and become silent when he starts to wiggle or get up. Remember, you're trying to make it black and white for him. He only gets rewarded when he remains lying down. It's best to practice this new calm behavior in as many situations as possible for now, so that you don't have to backtrack later on. For instance, if your dog loves to play fetch, you can wait until he says please by lying down before you toss his toy. If your dog likes to jump on you to get his toy, just stand silent and stationary and hold the toy out of reach. Then wait until he lies down before telling him okay and then tossing the toy. You can also have him say please by lying down before you let him go outside. You can even have your dog lie down on his rug near the door to get his leash on before going out. The more practice you get using the things that your dog finds rewarding, the quicker his training will go.